For anyone who's been organizing, canvassing, phone banking, or just supporting progressive candidates for a while, you probably know that last night was a pretty searing electoral loss for Nina Turner in Ohio's 11th congressional district. And this is really painful for a lot of reasons. She was really closely connected to Senator Bernie Sanders. She was very prominent in both of his 2016 and 2020 runs for president. She's, a firebrand. She's been very, very, very outspoken about, human rights and about building a better world where we have universal health care, livable wages, rights for workers, a Green New Deal. I mean, you go down the list, and her policy platform is quite similar to that of the Squad or of Bernie, and she would have brought a lot of passion into Congress. And unfortunately, at least for right now, she won't be, which is tough. A lot of people put a lot of work into this, and it's really painful to see a result like this that doesn't reflect the passion that people around the country have had for Nina Turner. So it hurts a lot because, right now we actually need someone like Nina Turner in Congress more than ever before, because we're seeing the dynamic where, progressives are, they're fighting to try to make policy concessions, but, it's a lot of these folks just don't know how to play hardball. And so we have a lot of these situations where progressives are getting steamrolled by corporatist Democrats like Joe Manchin. And Nina, a lot of folks across the political spectrum saw Nina as somebody who could break through that situation and be able to have a backbone that feels a lot stronger than what a lot of these folks in the Squad have shown. But I also want to address the feeling that I've seen many have, and I've myself felt this, even if, I think that there's a tendency in these situations to go towards despair and to say, this is never going to work. If we couldn't elect Bernie Sanders, if we couldn't elect Nina Turner, if the Squad can't actually, get us a lot of these policies, what do we even think is going to happen? Like, are we stuck? Do we need to do something else? Do we need to form a third party? Do we need to escalate to some other methodology of getting these things done? And I hear that. I get it. But I think that falling into despair is exactly what the establishment would want us to do with a result like this. Checking out of politics is exactly what your boss, your landlord, the CEOs, the executives, the ultra wealthy, that's what they all want you to do. They want you to get discouraged because of this race, and they want you to decide that you're not going to try. And the issue is, if we do that, then, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we're so cynical about our potential for this movement, that's not movement building. And so I think it's important to recognize that although this result is very, very, very upsetting, and it's very disappointing, and it's consequential. It really is. I mean, there's just things that won't happen because of this, at least not for now. But I think it's important to recognize that the struggle continues. People around the country have been waking up over the last few years as people like Bernie Sanders, people like Nina Turner, people like AOC, people like Cori Bush, people like Jamal Bowman these people are running for Congress, and even when they lose, they're messaging to tons of people around the country about these ideas, and these ideas are gaining steam. People are coming on board to these ideas. People are even waking up and realizing that electoral politics isn't the only thing we can do. People are starting to wake up and do mutual aid networks with each other. They're organizing their workplace, organizing their their apartments and complexes. There is movement. This movement is functioning. It's working. It's moving forward. And there's always going to be times where we suffer a devastating loss. And this is definitely one of those times. It sucks. It just sucks. But you know what? Millions of people can't afford for us to give up on this now. Millions of people don't have health insurance right now. If we give up on using every possible avenue to get Medicare for all done, that's a choice. That's a choice. And quite frankly, I know how I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose, even though it sucks, I'm going to choose to get up the next morning and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fight for these issues every chance I get. And I know that Nina Turner would do the same thing. She already is. When Bernie lost in 2016, unlike Hillary Clinton, he didn't retire into obscurity. He didn't leave public life generally. He stayed fully present. He continued to engage. He continued to fight the struggle of getting these ideas into the mainstream. He basically continued to campaign effectively for 5-6 years. And even now, he's still fighting for these issues. He's still holding other members of Congress accountable and pushing back on right-wing talking points and ideologies. And he's not getting everything we ever wanted done, but he is getting some things done. The squad, Cori Bush, who, guess what? Her first time, she lost. And then she ran again, and she won. You know the significance of the fact that she did not give up when she lost her first race? When she just went out, when the evictions moratorium just was expiring, and she decided to sleep on the Capitol steps in solidarity with the 40 million renters who are facing the threat of eviction any day now, she got the White House to move on this issue and to reinstate an evictions moratorium that is more targeted, but it will cover 90% of renters. So we're not done with this struggle. There's plenty of things that we need to look at, and we need to fight for these issues because people are hurting in this country. The climate is still on track towards climate disaster, and we need to pass a Green New Deal. We need to create a civilian climate corps to create jobs addressing the climate change. We need to actually transition our infrastructure so that we can curb carbon emissions by 2030, when scientists say we'll pretty much be out of time. We need to do those things. They're urgent, desperate needs. We don't have time to create an entirely new party. We just don't. We need a party that already has ballot access, that we don't have to go so uphill to try to create. We need a party that at least claims to its voters that it supports something so that we can hold them to it and we can push them. We need a party that represents the multiracial working class. And don't get me wrong, the Democratic Party is not that right now. It is not. It's so far from that. It's laughable. But we are in process. We've got people in Congress who, they're not perfect. Their strategies aren't perfect. But they're fighting as we should. And so my message to anyone who cares about these issues, who is just miserable with these results, which I know is most of us, I really think it's important to recognize that this is a moment, but there's a broader movement here. And this movement isn't going anywhere. And so, take the day, do some self-care, relax, maybe stay off Twitter. But tomorrow, it's time to get back in there, and it's time to once again organize, whether it's your workplace, whether it's a local DSA chapter, whether it's some sort of organization that you know of that's fighting for these issues. Get connected again. Find a way to outlet that energy and join forces with other people in solidarity to fight this fight. Because this fight is not over. And Nina Turner is not done. She's got a bright future ahead of her, a very, very exciting and exhilarating career being a passionate fighter for justice. And one single race in Ohio's 11th congressional district that's not gonna stop her. So, solidarity to everyone who's struggling, and thank you to every single volunteer, staffer, and to Nina Turner for boosting people's morale by standing up for what's right. Thank you.